Welcome back to Western Montana Views. I'm Ryan,
I'm Lee.
and today we're going to talk about Joe Biden's poll numbers.
The sinking poll numbers.
So,
First to be said about anything, do you have a lot of faith in polls?
you know what? Anymore, I really don't.
I think people
They're
that
not as accurate as they once were.
I think that people that answer the polls actually mess with the polls.
I think they do too, and I think the people that are like at work, they're not allowed to answer their phones. When I was working earlier this year, you're not allowed to answer your phone.
No, because you're not on your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So with that caveat said about poll numbers and us just not trusting them, we have to kind of giggle and sneer when we see that someone's poll numbers are sinking or their poll numbers are rising, because you can always talk about the other side of the coin there, oh, sure, they're going up because this is going on, or, oh, they're going down because this is happening. It's like
Sure.
Monday morning quarterbacking.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's what goes on. So Biden's sagging poll numbers. What's your first idea?
Let's see. So, hopefully, we can get gas prices under control. So, first step is, and I think it was the right step. He released the petroleum reserve, so that's gonna make it somewhere between 15 to like 40 cents cheaper per gallon.
Right.
So, so the gas prices could still rise, but
Oh, and they will for the summer because of the tourist season.
sure.
Of course they will. That's just traditional.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe just the other day was telling the petroleum companies, look, you guys.
You're sitting on thousands of leases, and they're not even using them.
Yeah, and basically the subtext of what Joe was saying was, how much money you guys need?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, Jesus.
Yeah, so they're sitting on federal acreage that have all these, they could literally drill on, and they're not drilling. So why aren't they? Because they want max profit.
Yeah, they want to reduce inventories to keep the price up
Mm-hmm.
for demand,
So, yeah, it's kind of funny because I heard earlier from people that were saying that Obama was terrible for the oil industry, and it's like, dude, do you know how much they drilled
Right?
in Obama's two terms? Like so much more
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
in the Bakken.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a overnight city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just major oil town, but major boom town, but all the trappings of boom towns too.
The Wild West.
Yeah, Wild West crime rate and
Right.
all the rest.
Right. Well, I believe that we will find a little alleviation with Biden releasing the fuel reserves.
Hopefully they do drill a little bit more. Hopefully they do expand on clean energy as well.
Well,
I'm all for clean energy.
I believe in responsible harvesting of what the earth can supply, a renewable resupply. Everyone is so dead set against logging, but they got to have a wood stick house. They love wood.
It's got to be a cabin too.
Yeah, right. They all want their wood, but they don't want any logging when
Sure.
logging itself historically has been a harvest, reclamation, replanting with plans to reharvest that area 50 years in the future. Again, it's a renewable resource. I'm all for the logging,
Sure.
responsible mining, as long as you're not dredge mining or mining in a way that you're dumping
Strip mining,
strip mining. You're dumping stuff into runoff.
Mm-hmm.
If it can be done responsibly, you should mine. There's minerals that we need. Our society. If you have a laptop phone,
Mm-hmm.
it's because of mining.
Oh yeah, all the rare minerals that you need for your phone.
Right. And when it comes to fuels,
Mm-hmm.
we are not going to stop our dependency on fossil fuels overnight. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. It probably won't happen in your lifetime. But it can be peeled back to the point where the earth has a certain amount of survivability because of it.
So Joe Biden needs to brag about the current job numbers he has. He really does need to brag about them, but he also needs to do more on the job numbers as far as more jobs here in America.
Oh yeah, well, you were mentioning fuel first. Yeah, if I think that his poll numbers will increase because we'll feel a certain amount of relief because the relief stores. Now you're talking about jobs, his job record.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
And so he has had like several 100,000 like per month in job growth. He's had I think the highest job growth in like 4 or 5 decades.
If you look at what he was handed when he walked into office and what he's got done,
Oh yeah.
they're impressive. All of his work
yeah.
has been impressive. The only thing that has not been impressive was his Build Back Better program that got torpedoed, and that's all that anyone ever really recalls when they go, "Why don't you?"
That was because of Manchin though.
Yeah. But it did fail.
It did fail.
But everyone holds that against Biden, Democrats and Republicans. Mm-hmm. Well, Biden has been doing a lot of other things since that Build Back Better plan got torpedoed. Mm-hmm. He's working every day. He's trying to keep us out of a nuclear war.
Yeah.
For one,
I agree.
while still assisting a very heroic and valorous nation.
Sure.
So
He's got his hands full.
if that goes, God forbid, worse, then the Republicans will say, well, it's because of Biden's fault. It's like,
They're going to say it's Biden's fault anyway, though.
exactly. And that's exactly the game.
So that's why Biden needs to start bragging more.
Well, or does the public need to be paying attention to the polls? The polls are seldom accurate, and that's putting it nicely.
True.
How many times on election night have you seen polls not actually come to fruition? Lots.
Right.
I'll give you a poll, a historic poll. Hillary Clinton's projected to win, according to the polls, the presidency of the United States. You go to bed at night going, oh, okay, I guess Hillary's going to be the president. Then you wake up in the morning and Donald Trump is the president? The polls weren't correct.
Right.
So, world events.
So
If world events turn out to be better, then I can see that being a factor in Biden's polls going up incrementally. You got to remember, any gains that you get, it's by clawing and scratching.
Sure.
And publicizing what you just did.
Well, I think if he can effectively answer what Ukraine needs, his poll numbers will go up. Now, what do I mean by that? He may not be getting the jets, but maybe he gets the S-300 systems.
Well,
Ukraine does anyway. So if we can effectively fulfill Zelensky's military needs and aid needs, then maybe you'd see more of his poll numbers start going up.
Yeah.
I think that would be rather effective anyway, at least from a foreign policy perspective.
Well, the Republicans are like, yeah, Joe Biden's not, strong enough over there, against Putin, and we ought to be giving, the Ukraine this and that and the other thing. It's like, yeah, we agree. Even the Democrats agree. We need to be giving Ukraine
more.
And
It's bipartisan.
Yeah,
in this regard.
It's bipartisan, so that should happen. If we all go up in a big ass dust cloud, we all go up in a big ass dust cloud. At some point you got to do something about the person that's got a gun at your head right now. I mean, you're going to walk around through life with a gun at your head. No, you're not. It's
unsustainable.
It's unsustainable. Yeah. It's either shoot, you son of a bitch, or put the fucking thing back in your holster.
Tired of waiting.
Let's just do this shit.
Yeah. Either I'm going to win or you are.
Yeah. And pray to God the damn nuke hits you in the head.
So anyway,
God forbid.
We're talking about how to raise Joe Biden's poll numbers here.
Thanks for bringing us back.
back on topic, and that's not cool. So hopefully avoiding a nuclear war, yes, would probably raise his poll numbers. Yeah, anyway, to bring it back,
Does he need more kitty videos from the White House so that we can see what his cat's doing?
Kittens? Yeah, maybe.
Well, why wouldn't
Cat videos.
Wouldn't that bump his rating a point or two?
You know what? Funny enough, it would.
By the pet owners?
Yeah, so we're talking about incremental things like what can bump it up like 1.2 points, 1.2 points, and that would definitely be, I think, a 2-point bump up.
Yeah, Joe, so if you're listening in, more kitty videos.
For sure, doing official actions, yeah.
Right. Dun, 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 dun.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, let's talk about what category would that? Well, housing and stuff. Is that the Build Back Better plan? Because I'm
like so he got infrastructure passed, but the Build Back Better plan he did not get passed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So infrastructure. I'm sure that there's crews out working if everyone's complaining about the road work. This summer.
They probably are, but
Well, then they need to shut their mouths.
I think so too.
While they're waiting in a construction zone or putting through at 15 miles an hour.
Especially when it's the first time in like 60, 70, 80 years that they've actually had infrastructure on these projects.
Yeah, if they're fixing a bridge, shut up and wait until the pilot car comes and gets your line of cars and pulls you through the construction zone.
Yeah. I mean, these are things I agree with, but, it's just what Americans are fickle.
Well, the biggest criticism that I have about our society is that we are very impatient and we don't have even the closest understanding of what other generations had to wait for. The old saying, nothing good comes quick.
Right.
It really is true.
Well, and Joe Biden can't unscrew what Donald Trump screwed up.
Well, it's taken him a lot of time.
I'm going to use a different word, but, let's just keep it to that. So
well, just to address the immediate concerns between COVID, NATO, alleviating any anxiety that our allies have had about the commitment of the United States. Joe's had a lot of damage that he had to repair, so that's like starting out in a hole.
Oh yeah, he started out in a hole for sure.
You're not starting out on level ground where everything's rosy and here are the keys to the castle.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was down in a big deep pit. Mm-hmm. He's only now seeing up over the edge.
But I bet you if you put him side by side with Donald Trump, Joe Biden would still win. It would drive the MAGA base absolutely insane, but Joe Biden would still win.
I believe you to be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he can just get his poll numbers up, because he's at like 40% or 42% right now.
Well, people would rather look at a graphic on TV saying these are somebody's poll numbers than to actually think back. They don't even have to research. You don't have to get out the...
Well, the other problem is okay, I had a thought. So the people on the East Coast and the West Coast, they don't come to the interior of the country and try to like learn about it or try to like help rural areas. They don't try to like learn anything about the country.
Yeah.
Well, that's a huge problem. Okay. Because they're not growing their base at all. They're just sticking to the big cities.
Oh, true that. But
so they're just allowing more and more people that are escaping, basically. So some people are leaving the city as well. So, some people are wanting representation in their new areas that they live, and if they don't have their representation,
right,
then things won't go well. So I don't know. I had a better thought to that, but
okay.
So come back to me on that. But anyway, I'm just gonna keep moving on, and like they do with all the other podcasts in the world, they just move on and move forward.
Use your place. Go back to the
it comes back. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So we think that Joe can.
There's areas of improvement that I think Joe can do.
But here's my point.
And I do want to get to marijuana legalization too.
Well, here's my point. I don't believe in any of the polls. I don't. I mean, give or take 5 points one side or the other, and depending on the issue that everyone can debate, I don't know if they're really all that relevant because there's always surprises during the midterms or the general, and I just don't have any faith in the damn polls. I'm one of them guys that would like mess with the pollster,
So do you think that there's no truth to it? Do you think there's like a curve to it? Do you think there's anything to these polls whatsoever?
I think people read into a poll the backstory of whatever it is they want to believe. Oh, the polls are bad. Oh, I know why.
They bend it to their own way.
They make it fit.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk about the legalization with the House?
So with the MORE Act, yeah.
Okay. What's your thought?
I think it should be legalized right away.
Certainly. I think that our society is enlightened enough to know that, it's never been the boogeyman that it was really portrayed as. And now that, there's been a little desensitization to the tabooness of it all. Mm-hmm. I think everyone's like, yeah, let's just, let's legalize this. Let's just get past this,
Sure.
The monies will be there. The tax revenues will be there. We'll have a more calm society. I'll tell you right now, cops love dealing with stoners. I mean, pot smokers. I'm not talking about the other drugs out there. They would far rather deal with a pot smoker than an alcohol drinker any day.
Sure.
If you were to ask a cop, between those choices, which one would he rather have regular exposure to?
You have a really predictable outcome with a stoner.
Yeah,
a rather calm experience.
A drinker's going to argue with you, and a stoner is going to comply.
I think it's good because, well, what is it, like 70% of the country wants it legalized?
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah, and I think once...
And if Joe Biden's the president that ends up making it happen, I think he will be known that, I think his numbers will go up inevitably. And not only that, you'll see more people actually joining jobs for driving jobs and other jobs that were prohibited in the past because marijuana is on some test.
Yeah.
So if it's no longer on a controlled substance list, then people can work.
Then it's don't come to work under the influence, and what you do in your off time is your own goddamn business.
Right. And that was my previous employer's position.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way that it should be. Man, don't come to my place of employment that I've hired you under the influence. Right. Under the influence. You do that shit on your own time.
So it exists, but do it on your own time.
Yeah. And that's the way it should have been a long time ago. But even, very recently, like I'd say up to about 20 years ago, that's about how long, the Montana medical marijuana program has been in existence. So prior to 20 years ago, it was still, taboo to be known that you smoke pot or to know of anyone that smoked pot or maybe not illegal to know someone that did smoke pot. I'm not saying that. But, it was more taboo-ish.
Definitely.
And in the past 20 years, what's happened? You had your medical marijuana patients, and that was snickered at in the beginning and stuff. But, science has proven that, no, they have bona fide complaints, and these are bona fide effects. Mm-hmm. It's just a placebo effect or something. Well, even placebo effect is an effect. And as long as they're sitting home on their own couch while they medicate, what business is it of yours? Mm-hmm. So CBD, oh my God, I can take CBD pills. Mm-hmm. It's got no THC, activating ingredient in that, but by God, people are finding the benefit of CBD, and you start to see it in the advertisement and in the art and in commercials. Well, do they even have? No, they don't have pot commercials on TV.
No, but I have seen
distributors.
I have seen CBD commercials though.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So, Grandma says, I'm going to try one of them CBD things and swears to God that it works, whether or not it does, according, from the skeptics. From the skeptics, I don't know if that works. Well,
I can tell you that CBD works from an anecdotal point of view. I can tell you that it works.
And the people that use
for seizure perspectives,
and the people that use CBD can attest to it, and I believe in it. I use CBD myself.
Yeah,
if
we could get a contract for a CBD company, we would probably take it.
We would definitely do that.
But shameless.
But now the. And excuse me for being snarky, and I'm generalizing. Now the Republicans are figuring out how to make money from it. They're starting to get educated about it all.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
ultimately, money,
Democrats have been standing back, snapping their fingers like the dance crew of a West Side Story movie, going, "Come on, Daddy-O, get with it. It's pot. Come on, Daddy-O, get with it." And then you've got the Republicans, square-headed Ronald Reagan, well, just say no. You got two extremes. Well, only in the past 20 years of Republicans going, I bet we could make ourselves a heap of money. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, no shit. Just think about hemp. There's no psychoactive thing in hemp. And we used to make everything out of hemp. Nobody makes anything out of hemp anymore.
You can actually redirect your police force to other crimes, too.
Absolutely. Decriminalizing cannabis relieves a lot of resource and considerations on the part of the police departments, and they can focus on more violent crime. That is what our police department is for a guard against violent crime. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are...
That's the main benefit anyway.
That's the main benefit. Yeah, there are traffic, considerations and citations and stuff that they're regularly involved with, but basically... The men in blue are the guys that keep the beasts from beating and killing me. Mm-hmm. I'm more than happy to pay my taxes for those guys to be well-trained, well-armed.
Well, and earlier in the week, I was going to complain more about Merrick Garland, but Merrick Garland is working on getting ghost guns off the streets. And that's one thing that I think if he is able to solve those issues, if they're able to solve the gun problems in these bigger cities, I do think that Joe Biden is going to do better himself.
Oh, well, his polls are at historic lows, and there's only one direction it can go, because I don't think it can go much lower without it being snarkiness on the part of the pollsters and the people taking the polls. It's like, God damn, I bet you are into immediate gratification.
Right.
It's like, slow down, sit down, shut up. Mm-hmm. So you can't buy a house right away. Boo fucking who? I was in my 40s.
Well, it's the same demographic that plays Slotomania. They got to have that, instant gratification. Yeah.
If you're whining and crying because you can't afford a house and you're in your 20s or you're in your 30s, shut up, sit down. Anyway, yeah, all these things can make the polls go up better. We got a cat.
We have a cat walking around.
We got a cat in the studio.
Yeah, we do.
Don't let him push anything.
Well, I'm going to try, but okay.
All right, good deal. All right, well, that's all I have for Biden's poll numbers for myself.
Yeah, maybe if there's more in the future we think of, we'll add to it. But for now, I would just say keep keeping the course. It's going to be a long haul. Yeah, and it's a marathon, not a sprint,
It is absolutely a marathon, not a sprint. Nothing's going to happen good tomorrow,
Well, and that's why I get annoyed when, and like I said, Biden can't unscrew up what Donald Trump screwed up over 4 years. He can't do it in less than 2 years.
Correct.
He's got to be given a little more time.
If not Joe, then who? And don't tell me Donald. right?
Right.
Right.
So I'll
Later.
give you that.
Later.
Hey, thanks for checking out Western Montana Views. Hope you all subscribe and check us out more on our YouTube page. All right. Have a good one.